Hey, welcome back. We have a pen review for you today, and I think this is kind of the favorite one of the year. This is the best pens in 2024. Now, this isn't looking back at any pen and saying 2024 and before, what are the best pens? I think of something like the Smooth Precision pens version 2.2, which came out in the year 2022. The Magnus Click Shift was maybe a 2023 release, maybe 2022. Koenig Pig QD came out in 2023. Grimsmo Saga takes us all the way back to 2018. And the Billet Spin Cam Pen first released, I believe it was 2020, 2023, 2022, 2023, 2022. And so, there are great pens that came out those years, and we are not comparing those. We are thinking about pens that came out this year. Now, there's one nuance here, maybe two, which is the Confounded Machine EDC Bolt 2024. There were adjustments, and it's definitely a slight difference from 2023 and before, but I don't know if it's like foundational enough to call this a new model. So I'm going to pretty much disqualify this from most things. It's been on the top of a lot of people's lists for a long time, but this Parker size, sort of shorter, lighter spring, he did make some nice adjustments, new milling. You can see I've been checking for tip wiggle here. This does have its appeal, and I could see it playing into here, but we're going to kind of DQ it just because this pen's been around for a while. It's just been shortened and lightened and better action and that kind of stuff. So with that in mind, we're going to look for a few different things. We're going to look for the best overall pen, the best value pen that came out this year, at least the ones that I tested. Let's preface that with that. Best pen in the pocket, best to write with, and best looking. So why don't we start with best looking? That feels like a great place to start. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about what I see here. So you have and introduce the pens. Arno Bernard Assegai came out this year, made out of South Africa, full titanium, a nice tactile feel to it, nice milling. Bolt is integrated, really a very cool pen. I do like the looks. It's not my best looking pen of the bunch. We have the FocusWorks EDC Sideswipe. Very cool. Definitely has its appeal for certain people, I think. And for people that want a more subtle machine style look, I think this could be their favorite. Not for me. We have the Tactile turn switch. And this is based off of the Magnus Click Shift design, but their own little twist on it. Really cool pen. For me, not the #1 best looking. The MachineWise Rota, a really unique infinite twist design where you can just keep twisting this in the same direction to get the action to come out or go away. And that is a really nice design also, but not my favorite of the bunch. You have the Maverick Custom Knives pen. Now he made this the universal flipper pen, meaning that it can take many different basically G2 Parker, etc. size in a very compact size. Very cool. So maybe if I were to pick one for best refill, I might go with that one because it's so flexible and the refills it takes. You have the Herman knives, or now it's maybe Herman pens, depending on what you call it. Epika, pretty wild looking, really cool pen that came out this year based out of Poland. Most of the rest of these, if I don't mention it, are based out of the US. And based out of sunny California, the Aerocrafted Retract pen. So in terms of best looks, I'm going to go with the Herman knives, or Herman Epika. I think it's actually probably not for everyone, but man, they really put a lot of thought and variety into their pen for a new release. I've really never seen anything like it. And they have so many different variants, from this PJ to this fancier version to a lot of different anodized versions. And this is just a really cool pen with some pretty wild aesthetics, a nice taper, which is hard to do, a beautiful pocket clip that has a pretty crazy look from the top, by the way. Really interesting finishes like this orange peel and this high polish finish. interesting milling, interesting lasering. So best looking for this year is going for me to go to the Herman Epika, although I do realize that one is a bit of a polarizing look, and I'd say on average, most people probably resonate most with this Confounded. I also really like the way this Aerocrafted looks. I think it's extremely subtle and has this crazy looking integrated pocket clip. So that one's kind of just got the techno in me going. But yeah, Herman takes that category. Let's skip to something that makes it very practical. So best to write with. So I spent some time doing tip wiggle tests, as you could see, and I did some writing on here, mostly focused on tip wiggle because that's the thing that drives me the most crazy. You can always switch out your refills for the most part. There is certainly the grip as a factor, but let's talk about tip wiggle and just sort of that writing experience. Arno Bernard unfortunately had the most tip wiggle of the bunch. So although I really like the feel of it in hand for the most part, 7 out of 10. FocusWorks EDC was a pure 10 out of 10. Nice thick grip to it, especially with this new hex design, pretty cool. And 0 tip wiggle. The thing just felt like rock solid the whole time. Tactile turn switch, I actually remember this being like a 10 out of 10, but when I was writing, I was getting a little tip wiggle. So maybe this particular variant, I've had a few different ones. I just got one that maybe had a little less, but I'd call that like generally more of a 9 out of 10. MachineWise Rota shocked me. I didn't remember that it had so little tip wiggle, but man, that refill, and it wasn't even the original refill, was just tight in there, 10 out of 10. Maverick custom knives, I was pretty shocked, but that G2 refill did its job. The whole time I'm writing with it, I'm going, wow, this is really nice writing for a Parker size. Of course, because it's a G2, you just don't feel like it can be a G2 because that pen is so small. So that one got the, and of course you can see here, I have terrible handwriting, so we're not judging that. There's no way to fix it with the pen. But that one got a 10 out of 10. And then Herman Knives Epika came in 10 out of 10. So on one of them, and then 9 out of 10 on the other. So I tested 2 different ones. I found if you rotate the refill in this pen for whatever reason, it sometimes adjusts that between like a 9 and a 10. Aerocrafted Retract came in at a 9. It was very close to 10, honestly. I was pretty impressed. And then I tested it again. That one was with a swap out refill. Tested again with the original refill, and it was a 10 out of 10. So really impressed on those. Just to compare, here's some older pens. Koenig PQD came in at 9.5. Smooth Precision pens, unfortunately not the best, even though it's one of my favorite all-around pens, 8 out of 10. And then Magnus Click Shift, 8 out of 10. A little disappointed for you on that one, Magnus, given your price range. So, best looking pen was taken care of. Let's talk about best value, and I'm going to go through these. Arno Bernard's is coming in at $149 plus shipping. Unfortunately, to the US, that leaves you around $175 if I recall correctly. I want to say maybe even a little more. It might be like a full $180, something around that range. You're talking now this value on this one, although that was a fairly simple one, this one has a lot of engineering to it. So although the FocusWorks Sideswipe is $190 for this variant, this basic variant, I don't see an issue with the value because there's so much that goes into it. The pen weighs twice as much as some of these. So there's a lot of material and engineering, so impressive. The Tactile turn is coming in at $149 also with this licensing cost from Magnus. So at $149 versus $250 to $300 from Magnus, you're actually at a pretty good value for what you're getting, but it still feels a little expensive. I'd love that pen to be like $125 maybe. Confounded machine, we're just going to skip over, but actually quite good at $135 plus shipping, $148, $149 shipped to the US. MachineWise Rota was looking pretty good. I think they were like $180, 100, maybe $190. They bumped up to $200 for the event where I got this, and I've seen since then it's even higher, like $220, $240. So they're starting to engineer themselves out of there on the cost, but the value is not quite there, but it is a unique mechanism. Depending on what material you can get the Maverick custom knives for between, I think, $75 and $150 for a full titanium. This one comes in, even with this nice sculpting, I think it came in around like $100 or something like that. That was pretty impressive. So I'd say the value on that one was very high. The Herman Epika, it's the most expensive of the bunch, coming in ranging from $229 up to $400, depending on like if you get a full dress. I think this one comes in around $330 or something like that for one like this. if I recall correctly. Maybe it's $370. So that one's definitely not going to be your #1 value pen, but I don't feel like it's a bad value. I obviously bought it, but it is a little crazy. And then actually the winner at $98 retail for full titanium. It is very simple on the mechanism, but again, full titanium and a nice milled clip is the Aerocrafted. By the way, use code Knife Nerdery and you get this for $85. So at $85, which anyone can get right now, it's just very hard for me to beat this pen. Everything considered, what it is, nice size for like the pocket and everything. This is just a really good value pen. So Aerocrafted takes that for me as the all-around. That's not to say that I don't, wouldn't buy some of these other ones faster, even for the price, just because of the emotional side of it, but value needs to be somewhat disconnected from emotion. So good on value there. We talked about the best looking, the best value, the best writing, best in pocket. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit on this. I'd say best in pocket for G2. I'm going to go here. The pocket clip is a little tricky to get over the pant though, so that's not, I'm going to caveat it with that. And I'm going to go to the Aerocrafted. It also takes best in pocket, and it's honestly not very close in this group. Most of these just happen to be bigger pens, so that's kind of your best on the small pen size from a pocket perspective. But the best all-around small pen, which I said was one of the categories, I go to the Herman Epika. I just love this as an all-around small pen. Partly just the size, the feel in the hand, the fact that when you use the mechanism, it still leaves you plenty of room for this clip to roll around in your hand without bothering you or agitating you in any way. Really love this as an all-around pen. The Herman Epika is like one of my few go-to on my desk that's actually a small pen. So do love that. That brings us to the most important category, the best overall pen for the year. And man, it is a really, really, really hard one for me to pick. I was very torn on this. I'll tell you oh, you know what? Let's add one in last minute. Sorry. Best mechanism for the year. And I would actually probably give it here to the Switch, but that kind of came from the Magnus Click Shift, and they actually do it better. It's smoother, it's lighter, and I actually like it more. It is a little more rattly, but I like that one more. So this one's right in there. But let's give it to FocusWorks, because in a very short order, he designed a very interesting mechanism that I think is going to appeal to a lot of people here. And boy, when he switches this bolt to Ultim, I think is going to be extremely smooth and very fidgety and fun. Right up there, also in the top 3 for me, was the MachineWise Rota. Just in terms of interesting mechanisms, I'm still like, if you ask me, like if I could only have one pen, I go with the bolt in the clip pen. That's just like my favorite all-around design, but that's neither here nor there. So what is for me the pen of the year? Which one for me is the best overall? And I'll say, like, for my practicality, I go to the Arno Bernard, but it's not the one that I chose. My practicality says this is the best all-around pen. It's the closest thing to your favorite pen ever, the Smooth Precision Pens 2.2. But I think there are a couple iterations away from being #1 for me. I think these, I don't know why sometimes makers do this, maybe they just don't test it, but these lines being a little too close together to me isn't as comfortable as when the grip lines are a little further apart. Smooth Precision Pens is another example. I like those grip lines to be a little further apart. The finish on here, it's just not my favorite. It's kind of like that Tactile turn pen. Part of why that one's not getting pen of the year, because I think that one overall is really nice. If I had to give like big pen of the year, it's probably this one. So let's add in one more category, big pen of the year. We'll give it to this guy because I really love the thin nature of that. That's pretty sweet. But pen of the year for me is going to the Herman Epika. And how do I categorize that? I have not been able to stop buying these suckers. I think I bought like 10 of them, sold maybe 5 of them so far. I just freaking love this pen. I think it's fidgety. I think it's beautiful. I think the fit and finish are there. I think the variety that they're doing is there. I think the hammering is super cool. There's just the engineering. When I first saw this, I said, over-engineered, no thank you. I didn't want to deal with a what if something goes wrong with that. But I have fidgeted the heck out of this thing, and it has not loosened up at all. To me, it's kind of like the new version of the Grimsmo Saga, but I kind of like this a little more somehow. Definitely in hand because it doesn't bother me. It's just a great all-around pen. So that is my overall pick for the year. Now, that one right there is my fancy one. The one that I actually use and kind of keep on my desk and stuff is here. I've swapped that out to a nice Odo refill from that crappy space pen refill they put in there. I have no idea why they put that in there. Just to further, I guess, emphasize the crazy engineering here, but Epika number 70 here. Gosh, I've fidgeted with this one a ton. It's just getting super smooth. Feels great in hand. Just a great all-around pen. And, you know, this is a tough class. These are the best of the best pens that I found. I should caveat this entire video with the fact that these are the best pens that I saw for this year in the industry. I chose not to buy a ton of pens. I bought some and sold some that I didn't love. There have been a lot of really great pens over the years, like the Cam pen, the Magnus Click Shift, that are really at the top of my list. Smooth Precision Pens version 2.2, Koenig PQD, and Grimsmo Saga. These are some of the pens that are in like my top 10 to 20 that have come out over the years. That Epika quickly got into my top 5 list. It is just a really, really nice pen, and some of that's emotional. Like, I don't even grab it and use it all the time, to be honest, but I love that pen. I really love it. It was kind of dominating my hand for a while. Lately, I've kind of gravitated back to my goat, the Smooth Precision Pens 2.2, but they don't make it anymore. And boy, they're doing really interesting things with that pen in terms of the milling and stuff. And it's reminiscent of Smooth Precision Pens in that, although it took them many years, and these guys are doing this in like very short order, Kelvin did some of the coolest milling of all time on these Smooth Precision Pens version 2.2s, and I see that with these guys. I see that they have that eye for that special look. Now, they also have done some where I didn't love the NO, and they're not all perfect, don't get me wrong, but amongst my favorite pens that I found this year, which are on the table right now, the ones that stand out the most to me, and I'm sorry, I'm sure I'm leaving off some of your favorites, so feel free to throw those in the comments if so. The Herman Epika takes it all around, but boy, every one of these has its own advantage and things that I love about it, so it's really cool to see such great pens getting made in the industry right now, and I'd be curious to hear what your favorite pens were, so feel free to throw those in the comments as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.